Hello, everyone, and welcome to Therapist Supporting Therapists. Today I have with me Dr. Doug Moore. He's a psychologist, a life coach, a spiritual director, a teacher, and so many more things. Welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you. And thank you for doing this for all the therapists that are out there. It's great that we can show up for each other in all the different ways that are speaking to each of us. So yay for you for doing that.
Yes, and yay for you for being a part and collaborating and I know you are going to have a bunch of wonderful words of wisdom for this community today. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about yourself?
I'm a psychologist and I've been doing that for about 35 years. And then as people started working through their anxieties and their depressions, they would say, "What's next?" And we would then start to talk about thriving. And what does it mean to really thrive in life? And then I had clients saying, "Okay, I feel like I'm really thriving. What's next?" And so then that led into a lot of spiritual direction and spiritual teaching to helping people expand their consciousness even more. So it's been a real privilege to help people along the whole continuum of conscious awakening. And so I'm glad to share whatever pieces and parts of that you'd find helpful.
Yes, I love that. And you talking about that journey that you've been on from, starting out as a psychologist and continuing to kind of evolve as people want more. And I found myself kind of on a similar path. And which is why I kind of found you very interesting as someone to interview because, it's started out as a therapist and then adding shamanic practitioner and Enneagram stuff and continuing to look for what is that next thing and working with empaths. And there's just like all these layers. I think it's so cool when we can continue to evolve our careers to meet what people need as they're evolving.
Well, and for it to also match what's evolving out of us.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a synergy between our own development and then helping other people on that journey.
Yes, I love that. All right. So you talk about thriving and you even include that in the name of your business, Thrive and Awaken. And
Yes,
I hear so many professionals talking about, I am so tired right now.
yeah,
And, those various mind, body, spirit challenges that we're all experiencing during a pandemic as human beings that are also professionals working with other human beings that are hurting. Can you maybe give us some tips to help us shift into thriving and talk a little bit more about what you mean by thriving?
sure. I think first of all, it's helpful to remember that what we're experiencing is natural. That when we experience a threat in life, we naturally go into some kind of fight, flight, or freeze reactivity. That's wired into our brains. It allowed our ancestors to fight off the bears and the marauders, to be able to escape from them. So it is hardwired into us to look at life from what's the threat and to have all sorts of reactivity around that. And it's great in life-threatening situations. But what that does over a period of time is it actually lowers our immune system because we're in reactivity. Anytime we're in reactivity, it's it's got to come, that energy has to come from somewhere. And the immune system is not needed in a life-threatening situation, so the immune system gets compromised. And so the first step is just naturalizing, of course, I'm afraid. Of course, I'm anxious about the future. However, how can I be aware without being vigilant? And
Mhm.
that's the key to start moving into thriving, is that we're still aware, but it doesn't have to come from that vigilant, anxious, contracted place. Because as we're more grounded, and being able to just ground and watch our breath. We know that just observing the breath helps to activate the vagus nerve and has a calming effect on the body. And so just watching the breath, grounding and breathing, as I call it, um, it starts to shift us out of survival mode, and it allows us to actually move into thriving mode, being able to stay more present and grounded in the moment in a calm and centered way. It actually expands our ability to perceive. If you think about, you're at the campfire and there's a bear charging at you, all of your attention is going to go towards that bear. You are not seeing all the beautiful stars in the skies, and you're not hearing the birds sing. So we actually have less information coming in when we're in that place of reactivity. And so people are reluctant to leave it because they feel that they won't be on top of things as well. And I want to reassure everyone that as we move into thriving mode, our perception and what we can take in actually expands, and we have greater capacity because we're learning how to ground and breathe and to stay present in the midst of that. It's kind of like learning how to be the eye of the hurricane, finding that still point within us while everything is going on around us. So I could go on forever about thriving mode.
I love that analogy of the being the eye of the hurricane. That's really beautiful. And thinking about why we're all so tired and amped up. Of course, if our nervous system is amped up, even if we're not necessarily cognitively aware of that, we're going to be tired.
Yes. And then as we're more grounded, it
Mhm.
allows us to choose how we want to respond rather than getting caught up in the automatic reactivity.
Yeah, that
And
power of
so,
choice.
yes, the power of choice, which allows us to feel more empowered and adapt to whatever we need to adapt to. These are difficult, challenging times. And so it's an opportunity to learn how to adapt.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, I was reading your website and you mentioned that you love helping people through their challenges as an opportunity. And so, as we're talking about this, I thought it would be a good time to bring that up. How can we face these challenges, shifting into telehealth, physical pain as our back aches, as we don't have our regular therapy chairs, and the emotional pain? How can we look at that as an opportunity?
Well, one of the things, I'm all virtual now, and I actually did it back in last year, not knowing all of this was going to be coming down the pike. Um, and but it's also about taking care of ourselves. So the opportunity is learning how to take care of ourselves in a deeper way. It's easy to be at peace when you're out walking in the park. That's easy. Try being at peace in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic. It strengthens our capacity to learn how to stay in a peaceful and calm place. That's one of the greatest opportunities, is that as we go to the gym, we used to go to the gym. Hopefully we're still working out at home. But when you would lift weights, that resistance strengthened your muscles. Well, the same thing can happen with challenges of life, is that they strengthen our capacity to cope. And this is where our wisdom comes from. Our wisdom comes from managing the challenges of our life. And then we can pass that wisdom along to other people and our clients.
Yeah, so the healing or not the healed therapist, the healing therapist becomes the
Yeah,
opportunity. Okay, I get it. I love
yeah,
that. Thank you.
yes. Well, and typically when we get stressed, we tend to have less self-care
Mhm.
because we're so focused on getting everything done and accomplished. But this is the opportunity to learn how to expand our self-care as we have more stress in our life. That's the opportunity, so that we're learning to really meditate on a daily basis. I think meditation is one of those not optional activities, kind of like water and food. I see meditation, if we want to truly be grounded, present therapists, the research is overwhelming. The impact of meditation on the brain and having a calming effect on the brain.
Yeah, that's so powerful and helps us to know, like the eye of the hurricane example, right? If I'm meditating and I'm grounded, then I find that, even if life is chaotic, I can get to that centered space again.
Yes, yes. It's about returning to it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I gave the client an example the other day. I was trying to convince them, like, this is a good thing to practice being in the now and meditating. And I said, and they were a basketball player, and I said, would you go play for the very first time in front of like the stands being full and have all that pressure on? No, you want to practice your free throws
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
driveway.
perfect. Great metaphor. Yes, that's a great one. Good.
All right. So, in addition to thriving, you were talking about grounding, and so that makes me think about like you're trained in Enneagram, self compassion, and energy medicine. Can you tell us a little bit about energy medicine for those who may not be familiar with Donna Eden and energy medicine?
Well, energy medicine has been around for thousands of years. So we have the Chinese who really developed the acupuncture system. And so they put needles in various places on the body and that was their primary form of medicine for thousands of years. And it still is practiced. And in many states, it's licensed now by the medical board. In Ohio in particular, it's licensed by the medical board. And we now have the research to demonstrate that there are indeed these pathways of energy that flow through the body. So energy medicine is learning how to keep the energy flowing through the body so that we are able to be resilient in the midst of stress. And you don't need needles and acupuncture to do that. That certainly is a great avenue to explore if that speaks to you. But we now know that just holding certain areas of the body, tapping certain areas of the body is similar to putting a needle in it and can really have profound effects. There's the whole field of tapping that is occurring. And I've used tapping for, probably 15 years now, and I can see people come in with major trauma and stress. And in a 45-minute session, it's just wiped out. It's like, whoa, I'd never had such powerful tools before I started using energy work and energy medicine. And so a great place to go is energypsych.org is the website for professionals interested in applying energy work to therapists. It's the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. And then Donna Eden is a woman who was able to see these energies. And she developed a practice for 30, 40 years of helping people with energy work. And she wrote a book and then developed a whole school around that. And she's really a strong advocate in how to help people have routines to support their own energy system so they can be vibrant and resilient. And I was on her management team and one of her faculty for years. And so I weave all of that into my work.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know when I was on my healing journey, I came across Donna Eden energy medicine and a video training that she did. And
Yes.
I can't believe how profoundly that helped me and just little things that she teaches, like the Wing Cook posture and some other ones that are so
Yeah,
incredibly powerful. And to have those tools at our disposal and then to teach them to clients, and even right now would be a good time for therapists to learn some more about that for themselves.
absolutely. Michelle, I had a client come in who was literally allergic to anything tropical. And she couldn't touch or eat bananas, anything like that. And I thought, oh, maybe this is kind of psychosomatic, because I always wear that scientist hat.
Mhm.
And so I took some rubber bands that are from the tropics, because they're rubber, and I placed them behind her. She didn't even know I was doing it, about 4 feet behind her, and she broke out into this huge sweat. And she started to have a rash with the rubber just being in her field, and she had no idea. So I knew that
Mhm.
anything I was about to do didn't have the placebo effect
Mhm.
because she wasn't expecting anything to work. Um, and over a period of time, she's now able to eat bananas and anything tropical. And then she started working in a grocery store.
Oh my
But
goodness.
Yeah, but all through using energy work. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So I'm wondering if you would be willing to teach us a simple, practical energy medicine technique that we can use for ourselves between clients.
Well, there's a great thing to know, and that is that when we get stressed, the research shows that there's a portion of the blood that leaves the prefrontal cortex. And, and that's the center for rational thinking. And the theory is that that allows our limbic system to take over under life-threatening situations and rush into a building, a burning building, or lift up a car that we normally wouldn't do if we were thinking rationally. But
Mhm.
we know that the rational part of the brain goes offline, which is why, as therapists, we tell people when you're angry with each other, that is not the time to have a conversation because
Right.
it just escalates. Well, because we've lost a portion of the blood in the prefrontal cortex.
Mhm.
So this is why you see around the world when people get stressed, what's everybody do? They go, oh my God. Or
Yeah.
they do this. Oh my, I'm so stressed. Well, because when we hold here for about 3 to 5 minutes, it brings the blood back up to that prefrontal cortex. And it allows us to think more clearly. So it's one of the tools I teach my clients all the time to be able to do that and to excuse yourself from a conversation. Go and do that for 5 minutes and then come back. They're much more likely to be able to be in a grounded place and to be in a calmer place and have a more rational discussion. So that's something, particularly as therapists, we can take on a lot of the stress of our clients. And by the end of the day, we can feel drained unless we're taking care of ourselves. So that would be one. A second one I would do is that we know that anytime we stretch, we're creating space for energy to flow. And this is why yoga works so well. When we have stretches, it allows the energy to flow in different parts of the body. So this is something I do in between every client. It's called connecting heaven and earth. And you can do it sitting or standing. I'm going to do it sitting since that's where I am now. You rub your hands together and just kind of come into that prayer-like place. And you take a deep breath in and you hold it while you stretch your palm all the way up, and your palm is flat against the sky. Your other palm is flat against the earth, and you're stretching and you're holding your breath, and then you exhale and you come back. And now you do the same on the other side. Inhale, hold your breath, stretch, look all the way up, stretch the other hand all the way down, holding your breath, come back into that prayer-like position, and then repeat that. Inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale. And then what I have people do is just bend their knees slightly and bend over and let your arms dangle. And as you do that, you're taking 2 slow, deep breaths. And as you slowly wind up, you're crossing your arms like this all around your body because you're helping to weave your field. We now know that we have a field of electromagnetic energy around us. We now have research around all of this. And the stronger our field is, then we're better protected from electromagnetic energy, from the screens, from the lights, and from other people's energies. So those are two that I think are quick and easy and can go a long way.
Yes, thank you for those. I feel better already, and I haven't even done the whole thing. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And on my YouTube station, Thrive and Awaken, I go through the whole daily energy routine. Takes about 15 minutes, and that's included in there.
Okay, well, I will definitely be posting that below this video so that people can find that, and I'm going to go check that out myself.
Great, great. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm thinking about, it's very self-compassionate to stop and do something like that between clients. And self-compassion is so important in general, and especially when we're navigating life during a pandemic. And I hear you also have an online class coming up teaching self-compassion as one way of thriving. Would you be willing to share with us one way that mental health professionals can use self-compassion to support us?
Well, you know the old analogy, if you're on an airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first,
Yes.
and then you're better able to help somebody else. Well, I think the more we have self-compassion, then, and we're really taking care of ourselves so that we're taking some breaks in between clients, we're showing up and truly supporting ourselves so that we know in a healthy family, there's both a healthy support comes through protection and boundaries, but also then there's nurturing. And so self-compassion is comprised of learning how to show up for yourself in a supportive way, taking care of yourself, getting good sleep, but also learning how to be self-nurturing and being tender and find there's multiple ways of doing that. Um, One energy medicine technique is just hugging yourself, holding yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's so powerful. And you can also just do a little tapping like this. This is very nurturing. This is a form of what's called EMDR that they have used in war-torn areas around the world for kids that have been traumatized. It's called the butterfly hug. And it's a beautiful way of nurturing oneself and releasing any kind of stress that you might have. So self-compassion, part of it is learning how to show up for yourself in both a supportive way and a nurturing way. Similar to we do with children who are, that we value, we're automatically taking care of them in that way. It's learning to value ourselves in the same way.
Yes, beautiful. All right. Well, I will post a link if anyone is interested in learning more about self-compassion from you and joining that workshop.
Great, thank you. Yes, it'll be fun.
Good. So I'm curious, we're all learning so much about ourselves. And so I'm wondering what you've learned about yourself in this process as a healer and also balancing being a human being who's impacted by a worldwide pandemic.
Yes, interesting. I would say it's learning to show up and follow that inner guidance that is coming through. So I've always have done energy medicine work, but it's kind of been in private in with my clients. And so for me to put a video out on YouTube 2 weeks ago and to be doing this interview with you, um, that is having the courage to follow that kind of inner knowing that what might benefit other people and to letting go of how it might appear, how someone might think of you. It's really shedding all of that and truly showing up and letting the energy come through you in a loving way, in however that's to be expressed. And so this is my first interview that I've ever done. So that is, I know that was a step of courage to just come on and be interviewed and putting out the video. We live in a community where we have balconies that face each other. And I play the flugelhorn, which is a type of trumpet.
Mhm.
And, it's always been indoors in my room. But I now on Friday evenings go out and play for the whole neighborhood because everyone's out there. And I, played God Bless America last time.
I love that.
So I think the lesson for me has been to really just have the courage to follow that inner passion, whatever is coming up.
Yes, well, and I appreciate your authenticity and your vulnerability and you following that so that you could be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Well, there's such synchronicity too in your journey, and I'm very much resonating with that as I kind of go through my own, like putting myself out there in different ways, and finding the science that supports all of the things that I've intuitively known for a long time has been really exciting for me.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
So before we wrap up today, do you have any additional words of wisdom that you would like to share with this mental health community?
I think life is a gift. So let's all treat it as a gift. That when we really see life as a gift, that it brings us into the sobriety of the moment, and it allows us to be in a place of awe and gratitude for this moment. And we get so focused on how long is this, lockdown going to be, and we get out of the moment, and because we're so future focused. So this is a time to come right here, right now, in this moment, and be in the awe
Mhm.
that we're even here on this planet, hurling through space. It truly is amazing. And so for me, that's part of what anchors me, is just coming into the awe and the beauty and the gratitude of this moment.
Oh, I love that. What a beautiful note to end on today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, this is Therapist Supporting Therapist. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody.